ladies and gentlemen, to a very special edition of Jofo in the Ring. Now, it's not often that we get to have a guest in studio, let alone one who means so much, not only locally, but to the entire wrestling world. Someone who's had a storied career throughout Canada, throughout the United States, throughout just about everywhere. My guest is a former WWF Tag Team Champion on multiple occasions, a former Intercontinental Champion, and someone who continues to thrive in the wrestling business and is now embarked on a new journey to start a new type of promotion that's going to help to elevate a lot of the great talent here throughout Canada. And it just so happens to be the man who trained yours truly, the harbinger of truth, Jeremy Prophet. That is none other than the one, the only, the legendary Jacques Rougeau.
I am the Mountie.
Jacques, I got
Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I am ecstatic, and it is so great to have you here as a guest. If I had to make a list of the top 10 people, 50 people I'd want to have on as a guest, you'd be right at the top of it.
Thank you,
because
Jeremy. That's very kind.
You're someone that I owe so very much to. You're the man who trained me, helped me to be the performer that I am today. And I'm very loyal and grateful for all the lessons I learned from you. Really glad to have the chance to talk to you here, reconnect, and to do it in front of our wonderful audience here on Jofo.
Well, Jeremy, thanks for the kind words. I want to say hi to all the fans out there, the old fans, the new fans, the future fans, because of Wrestling Academy, which is Lutte Academie. We'll have it in French and English. It's a new project that I'm really, really looking forward to. But, Jeremy, there's so much going on in the wrestling world. And, this weekend I was in New York for an autograph session, and I met some new talent, that are 35 years younger than me, and it just seemed like it was yesterday that I was doing that all, taking the planes, being delayed, lose your luggage. I forgot all the good stuff about traveling. And, but it was just amazing to see the response of the fans in Brooklyn and Queens. It's like we never left each other. They were coming up to see me with gray hair, with no hair. Hey, Jacques, you remember me? Hey, Jacques. And I would say, yeah, of course I remember you. But I was telling the guy when I was over there, Jeremy, it's amazing because when we were on the road 25 days a month and they asked us to go do a personal appearance or an interview like that, it was like, oh, shit. I don't have time for this, and now that I'm not doing anything more on the road and stuff like that, and I get an opportunity like that, it just touches you, because it's like when you're in the beat, you don't realize all the things you're doing in life. And then when you get out of the beat and then you look back and now sitting with all the talent that was there. I know you saw the picture there with a couple of the girls that were there. There was Celeste, there was
Maddie Rankowski, there was Reka Tahaka. We can put it up on the screen and show the people.
And it was amazing. They were so kind to me, and the way they were talking to me was like, they were talking to me like was an old veteran, but a hero veteran. Like, they were happy that the things that I've done, and they made me feel so good. And the people, so it was wonderful this weekend, just going to New York and reliving the being a star again. Like, and people who say that they don't like it, then I don't understand them, because it's amazing. And actually, the day after, when I came home, like yesterday morning, life became so quiet again. It was like I was looking outside. I was saying, Jesus, that was amazing what I lived this weekend. And there's so many things I'd like to say towards you, Jeremy, being my student, like, I think it was in 2003 or 2003. And I see today everything that you accomplished, and the way you look, your arms are bigger, and and just the way you I hear you talk on the podcast, and you say, I taught you something. Let me tell you something. You taught yourself, because you're much better than you were when you were with me when you first started. You've gained experience. You're a new man. You're a pro now. You're a champion, and you're a star. And it's thanks for having me on the show, Jeremy.
Well, it's entirely a pleasure. And you say that I'm a pro and whatnot. Look, we all have to start somewhere. And I was fortunate to get the chance to start with the best. At that time, 2003, there weren't too many schools here in Quebec. but I knew if I was going to train anywhere, and I say this in all the interviews where I'm a guest on other podcasts, I wanted to train with the best. And so your school was really the only one on the radar.
Well, in those days, I could say that I had a pretty good school going because I had a lot of experience behind me, not only on the mat, but on the mic and then just the personal appearances and everything that surrounds wrestling. But what a great trophy for me to see you there. When you came, you couldn't put one foot in front of the other, and now I'm looking at what you've accomplished and everything. It's like, I think of Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens, who was at our school for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. He learned to really talk and all this and stuff like that. And it's amazing to see how he did. And to see a lot of the guys that came to the school in all independent wrestling. There was one guy I met in Chicoutimi about a month ago. They look like lumberjacks. They were dressed.
Yeah, TDT.
But
Thomas
came up to me. It was so funny. He came up to me, says, "Remember me?" And I looked at him. I said, "No." And then he says, "But he's got a beard this freaking big now, And it's like I couldn't recognize him anyway, or the way he was dressed and everything. And then I looked at him, and he says, and before he told me who he was, I looked at him. I said, "Wait a minute." And his eyes are just different. I know his eyes. Look at his eyes when you talk to him in his face. He's special. And I looked at him in his eye and I said, "Thomas?" And he looked at me, "Yeah." but it was amazing to see all those, 20 years ago. And
yeah,
today.
A lot of great people came through that school. And I think the one common thing you talk about, the more successful ones, the ones like Kevin Steen and myself and Thomas, I think the one common thing is we were all very big wrestling fans before ever getting into the business.
Of course, you must have been when you came to the school. It must. Anyway, I've always said that people who succeed in this business, it's really people that are passionate about it. If you don't have the passion like I did, you're not going to make it, because you can't count the hours you put in there. You can't count the times. Forget the gym every day. Forget the ring that you go practice 3-4 times a week. Just the time that you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're thinking of a high spot, or you're just, it's wrestling continuously in your mind. And those who are like that, they will succeed.
Yeah. And, it had been, I think I had stopped going to the school maybe around 2005. And so it's been 15 years, 16 years since we had seen each other. And then, lo and behold, you're at the IWS event, the same event where I defended the tag team titles here.
You look great, man.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. I try my best, but I learned a lot.
You're the whole package, my boy. And, I'm telling you honest, Jeremy, I know I have this Wrestling Academy coming up there. It's you could go on Jacques Rougeau, by the way, I'll say it 1,000 times, jacquesrougeau.ca, and then you could go and subscribe and send the video and get ready. We're recruiting all the way to December. But where was I going with that? It was something I wanted to say.
Well, you had said I was the whole package. I was talking about when we met each other.
You're a total package, Jeremy. And I shouldn't say that because it's favoritism. But I think you have a good chance to win this thing, Jeremy. I do. I look at all the talent. Because it's going to be judged on many things. It's going to be judged on not only the wrestling, but the interviews, the appearance, the charisma, the athletic side, the whole package. And what's going to be really great about this Wrestling Academy for all the talent in Quebec, there's going to be no Rougeaus in this deal. My 3 sons quit 3 years ago, so there's going to be, like I said, no favoritism. It's going to be the best that's going to come out. And there's going to be judges, like on Star Academie with the singers in French there, that they did that. That's what I'm reproducing, but with wrestling. And there's going to be like 40% of the people, 40% of the votes will be done by judges. But which we'll have, by the way, QT Marshall, and we'll have Devin Hannibal, and we'll have a couple of guests that are going to come in. We're going to switch the judges weekly from weekly. But the good thing about all this is 60% of the votes will be coming in by you guys out there, either by phone or by text or this. And you'll see how it's all going to be working out. So it's really going to be a fair contest. So, and what I want to bring to you guys, some guys come up to me and they say a lot of times, "Well, Jacques, I don't think I have exactly as much as he does." And I say, "Hey, hold on a second. Here's what's important. If people vote for you and you got a good fan club and you got a good followers, a lot of followers, then you have a chance, because the followers, 60% are going to decide who's keeps going and who doesn't. And so everybody has a chance in here, and you have 8 months to build your fan club if you haven't had one yet, or you're missing some, or you want to elaborate or get big, then do it, because it's the fans, really. So be kind to your fans, and be kind to the people who write you and talk to you and congratulate you in the ring, because those are the people who are going to make you possibly a $5,000 winner and get the tryout at the Nightmare Factory in the States, which is now the school for one of the biggest leagues. I don't know how big it is. I think it's as big as WWF was.
Oh, it's definitely as big as WWE.
So I know one thing. When I was young, there was 3 things that I wanted to do. I'll try to remember them now. I wanted to be famous, I wanted to make money, and I wanted to be a champion. And you could get all 3 of those things with me. You're going to get exposure. You're going to get a chance to go in a big league. And, I say that a lot of times to the guys too. Don't miss your chance, boys, because forget Jacques Rougeau. Forget your personal things that you have for me or against me. It's not an issue now. The issue is wrestling, which in my career, I've spent 10 years in WWF. It wasn't always what I could do, or it was always timing. Being at the right place at the right time. And if you guys just imagine this for 2 seconds, if QT Marshall is going to be one of the judges, and he's half owner of the Nightmare Factory, and he looks at you and he finds a liking in you, you have no idea what break you may get. You may end up in the territory for AEW. You end up wherever you end up. You're talking about the cream of the crop now, the biggest leagues in America and in the world. So please don't underestimate yourself. Don't think you don't have a chance. Everybody has a chance, but don't miss the opportunity, because it comes maybe once in a lifetime. And so many times in life, I got to a Y like this, the letter Y there, and I took the wrong turn. And so many times I took the right turn. So it's just all timing, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an entire business of timing. And like you say, the important part is that connection with the people. Absolutely. With the fan base. And that's what wrestling has always been about. You have to make the people believe in what you're doing, win over their support, and also the talent that goes along with it. It's lessons that I learned from you from way back when I started. And, you give me the great compliment of being a total package. I'm one of the people, and I feel I'm one of the few that prides myself on working on every aspect of what I do in wrestling. I work as much on my in-ring performance as my promos, my body, all of those things, because quite frankly, I want to make it to the big leagues. And you
will, Jeremy, eventually. I think you will. No matter if you win this one or you don't win this one, there's going to be 6-7 years of this Wrestling Academy going on. And what I want to tell also is the wrestlers that do subscribe, there's only going to be 4 winners. There's going to be 1 woman champion, there's going to be a tag team champion, and there's going to be a solo champion. But that doesn't mean that all the 40 people that have subscribed can't do it the year after. And during that year, they're going to learn in this event here. They're going to learn a lot, different things, because I can't tell you what you're going to learn, but I'm going to learn. So we're all going to learn out of this Wrestling Academy, but you're going to be smarter for the second time around. And you must understand another thing too, as far as exposure. It's so important, because as of now, we got about 20 subscribed out of 40 that we need. And it's not funny. I got about 15 of them, 10, 12 that come from Halifax, Vancouver, Lethbridge, Calgary, Ontario, Moncton. I got them coming from all over the place. And what great visibility for, let's say you're an independent wrestler, you work in an independent federation, and you meet this guy who works in an independent federation in Vancouver, which is real good, but he likes you. So then you're making contacts. Then you could start traveling after that and going to there. And that's how you create, Lord knows, if I told you my story, it would be too long, but I could tell you that when I started in 77, I went for Bret Hart's dad, Stu Hart in Calgary. And I wasn't making any money. I was making $250 a week, and I was paying my hotel, paying my trans. It was rough. But then from there, I went to Mexico. And then I went to Kansas City, and then I went to Florida, and then I was lucky, I ended up on TBS for Ole Anderson, Dusty Rhodes, and then that was great because I was exposed from Boston all the way to San Francisco. TBS was a Turner Broadcast System, which is coast to coast, and that's when I got all my exposure. And then all the small territories, they start looking at me and they're saying, this guy's acrobat. Hey, this guy's flashy. This guy's good for our card. So the people that you're going to meet on Wrestling Academy, they come from somewhere, and they wrestle somewhere. And so I think that it's very, very important that people don't miss the opportunity. And that's what I'm thriving, because this is going to happen, guys. I'm telling you right away. I've already found one sponsor for $5,000. I'm looking to meet one tomorrow. Next week, I got 2 more, and I need 4, and I'm going to get to 4. I guarantee you're going to get $5,000 in cash, the winners that comes out, plus the tryout. So the 5,000 is not going to make you buy a house, but it's going to pay a little bit of trans to go to Chicoutimi, or to go to Quebec City, or to go to do the spots during the year, or to go to the gym, or to pay some things that you need to fill out to become a better wrestler. So please, and I'm begging you, don't judge this on a personal fact. Like, there's some people that are not very happy that I'm doing this, because a lot of the people said, well, Jacques, when you had your federation there, you boycotted all the other federations. I got to clear this up. I got to clear this air up. I will eventually, but I'm going to give you a little taste of it now. My problem wasn't with the Quebec people. It was with Vince McMahon. And when Vince McMahon promised me something and didn't deliver, I left. And then I had a grudge with him, and it still is now, up to 30 years later, 25 years later. But the thing is, when I started my federation, I started Les Spectacles Familiales Jacques Rougeau. I started my school. I had to figure out, how can I stay in wrestling, my only passion in my life, the only passion I have in life? Competing with the WWF, there was no way I could do it. So I had to start a new chrono, so I had to start something. So what I thought, I said, hey, why don't we go back to basics? Let's go back to when you took a headlock and you brought a guy down with a hip toss headlock, it meant something, where every move meant something, and where not only that, but the kids that are 4 years old could watch. And then as I created all these characters, it became Spider-Man, became the Mummy. You were Spider-Man, Jeremy.
I was the original.
Now that I think about it, and all these characters we had were like Walt Disney characters. So when the boys would come out for the little federations and they wanted to come, I'd say, well, listen, guys, there's no kicks, there's no punches, there's no swearing. If you swear one time, you're out. I'm going to every company in the province of Quebec, and every city, every town in the province of Quebec, and I'm promising them a Walt Disney show where they could bring their kids from 4 years and older. There won't be any swearing. There won't be any beer. There was no beers in the arena. I had 5,000 people in the arenas. They're not allowed to sell beer. And so it wasn't against the Quebec people. I had to start something to match and it worked. I did something that Vince weren't doing. He was doing tables and chairs and all the whole gimmicks and the girls half dressed and all that stuff. And I let it to him. That's cool. So, and then the other thing why a lot of the Quebec federations are a little upset with me, which I can understand, but not really. So I'll explain to you why I don't understand. You had to be exclusive when you work for me. If you wanted to come to work for my company, you couldn't work for no other company in Quebec. But now let me tell you why, for the people who don't know why. If I have a show and I went to every company door to door and I sold 5,000 tickets door to door to fill up an arena in Chicoutimi, well, let's say, and I promised them a show, a few times that happened. A couple of guys would have a show on the Friday night, the night before, but then they twist his ankle. So then imagine the Mummy who twists his ankle. It's not only the Mummy that can't wrestle anymore, it's Spider-Man that can't wrestle anymore. The ones that I sold in the companies when I went to sell for my tickets. So I wouldn't want the guys to go work for $25 or $50 just to go pick up a little paycheck in front of 25 or 50 people or 100 people and ruin my 5,000 people show. And so that's what the deal. It wasn't personal with anybody. It was my business. I created a business. If you wanted to respond and be in my business and act appropriately to my business, you were welcome. It was my business. If you didn't like what I was doing, then start your business and have the people do what you want to do. But you can't criticize me for doing that. I succeeded tremendously. I went to schools for 20 years. I went to schools against bullying because of the thing with the bulldog that happened with me. People thought I was doing that to have good publicity and stuff. I wasn't doing that at all for my image. I was doing that because I was messed up in my mind. And every time I'd give a conference in a school and I'd see that I managed to save a couple of kids from bullying, it made me feel good. It made me feel like, okay, you're doing something good, Jacques. And it was therapy for me. That's all it was. So anybody who wants to criticize the way I did or acted, you could melt on that. You could dwell on it if you want all your life. But let me tell you something. What I did it with respect. And I did it politely. I did it respectfully. And I'm telling you right now, to all the federations in Quebec everywhere, if you don't understand what I did, I respect it. But understand me now. Life is timing. And I'm telling you, if you want to have a chance one day to be a superstar around the world or to go into the biggest federations in the world, come with me. And I don't want exclusivity. You could go wrestle everywhere you want 2 days before my event. I don't care, because if you're hurt, you're not there. Someone else will take your place. Bottom line, there's a lot of talent now waiting in line for that. At the time, I only had certain talent. Jeremy,
Mm-hmm.
we used to practice together, and it was our show, and we had to go perform to do our show. I know Kevin Owens was very pissed off at me and a couple of guys like that. I respect you. And I respect the fact that he told me, Jacques, I'm leaving. I want to go. And I may have done the same thing in his place, because I had ambitions. He had ambitions. He did the right decision. He took the right decision when he left me. And now, Kevin, I'm telling you, take the right decision. Tell your friends that are wrestling, hey, you had a chance, Kevin. I gave you that chance. So I'm telling you, you give those people that chance. The same boys, the wrestlers that were in your shoes, and you're in mine now. So tell them they have a chance to have a dream. Forget the $5,000. Forget all the exposure they're going to have on this TV deal if we get it. I'm working on a TV deal. I can't say it now. It looks very good, but I can't promise anything to anybody. Otherwise, it'll be on platforms. It'll be on Hannibal's platform. We're going to have so many platforms. You're going to have so much visibility. But bottom line is, guys, forget Jacques Rougeau, the asshole. I'm not an asshole. I know what I want in life, and I'm going to get it. Think of your friends that if they have a chance, and what if you guys, you just say to the guys, I'm thinking of Zach Patterson. I'm thinking of there's a couple of great stars that I see there that are in the federations, IWS. What if one of those guys, because of this tournament we're having, Wrestling Academy, has a chance to become a superstar? What if? And what if you're the one who send them there? You're going to feel the same thing I did when I didn't speak for Kevin Owens for 20 years. I didn't speak to him when he left because he took it personally. And when he won the title, TVA called me, Radio Canada called me, all the TV stations called me and said, hey, Jacques, Kevin Owens. And I said, hey, that's one for the Jacques Rougeau Wrestling School. It was all positive because he spent 4 or 5 years with me. I'm the one who taught him how to walk. It's your turn, guys. All these veterans that are in these small organizations that have been there 10, 15 years, that like you, Jeremy, all these guys, you must tell them, forget Jacques Rougeau. Look at the opportunity. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not a bad guy. I'm just a businessman. I just tried to survive. My problem was with Vince McMahon and not with none of the Quebec people. And remember one thing, I had some guys that say, what has Jacques Rougeau done but think about himself all his life and this and that? Well, I'll tell you what I've done. I put the Quebec province and Canada on the map a lot around the world. I did that. I also taught guys in schools like Jeremy and that, who's a champion today. A lot of the guys, Kevin, a lot of the guys that, and I went to the schools and I held bowling for 20 years, the kids. That's amazing. I still have today. I go in companies sometimes. I meet people. Hey, Mr. Rougeau, my son told me he remembers you when you suplexed the math teacher at the end, because I'd always do wrestling moves in my conferences on a big mat, and I'd beat up all the school teachers. That was the reward I gave to the kids if they'd listen to me. And believe me, they listened to me because they wanted to see their teacher get beat up at the end. But you'd be surprised to see how many people come to me and thank you, Mr. Rougeau. Thank you for this and So please don't. The biggest thing I could say now, and if I had to have only one thing that you could remember out of all this interview, is don't judge someone by what you heard of from somebody else. Judge someone from the experience you had with me. How I respected you when you were there, and I did what I could for you when you were there, and what you did for me when you were there. We were a team. Everybody was a team. What I did was personal, was business. I never hurt anybody. I never meant to hurt anybody, and I helped a lot of people in my life. So if anybody asks what I did in wrestling, I think I just answered to my knowledge anyway, the most that I could.
Yep. And I appreciate you being so sincere and authentic with us in saying that. And to everyone out there, I mean, this is a great opportunity. I'm the one who's been shouting from the mountaintops here that Canada needs an opportunity. We need better scouting here. We need opportunities to be seen on the same playing field as people in the United States. It's a lot easier over there because everything is so close. People are well connected and all the major promotions are based out of there. This is an opportunity. Whether you want to take it from Jacques or take it from me, I'm speaking from the heart here. This is an opportunity I've been waiting for, and I think a lot of us have been waiting for, and there's really no harm in being a part of it. There's nothing to lose. You're going to get seen. You could end up getting a lot of money, and you'll get to meet a lot of great people, work with a lot of great people from coast to coast, from everywhere. So I'm really speaking to Canada here and saying that, we should all step up, make this into something great, and hopefully this can finally be the thing that gets the ball rolling so that they realize we have some of the best talent in the world.
And not only that, Jeremy, I've been to a bunch of shows now in Quebec, and everybody works for everybody. Like, some people work in Quebec, they work in Chicoutimi, then they work. So everybody's working together in this. So let's make this a big party together, a big team. And if anything happens out of this, I'll have another reward. Because if the winners go there and they get a tryout, and if anyone gets picked out of there, then I'll be able to put a little feather in my hat again and say, hey, I accomplished something good, with another Quebecer. And I don't know if you guys could do this right now, but if you can right now, I'd like to stop this interview for about 30 seconds. And I'd like for you to show this interview that I got, this message from QT Marshall. I don't know if we could insert this. If I can, can we insert this? Yep. So let's take a pause for 30 seconds. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this interview. It means the world.
Hello, wrestlers across Canada. This is QT Marshall with AEW, and I am also the co-owner of the Nightmare Factory. And I just wanted to wish each and every single one of you good luck in the Wrestling Academy 2022. I'll be paying very close attention, following your journey, and I also look forward to being a guest judge. Good luck with everything. Jacques Rougeau is a great mind to be around. I can't wait for this. It's very exciting, and like I said, I will be following your journey and hope to see each and every one of you soon.
So, there you have it. From the man himself, QT Marshall, saying that this is going to be a great opportunity for all of Canada. It's the opportunity I've been waiting for. It's the opportunity a lot of us have been waiting for. So let's all work together here. Let's put our apprehensions aside because there's really only good that can come of this. And you know where to sign up for it. You can go to jacquesrougeau.ca.
That's it.
Submit your video, submit your information. Guys, don't leave this to be a thing that I'm going to win, as a shoe-in. I want competition. I want people to give me a run for my money. I want to find who the other guys or girls are in Canada that have the goods, that have the talents to make me say, okay, whoa, I got to step up my game now because I'm a competitor. I want to win. All I do is win, and I work for it. But, I want this to be something that makes me kind of have to reach another level. And in the end, we're all going to help each other. We're all going to pick each other up and make Canada finally claim its rightful place in the wrestling world.
And Jeremy, if you don't mind my saying, because I had a couple of wrestlers that are trying to put some negative in this, but let me tell you something. I worked hard for the last month and I found $5,000 a sponsor for a winner, and I'm working very hard for another one now, and I keep working. I'm gonna get $20,000. And a lot of guys are saying like, oh, that's right, Jacques Rougeau is going to fill his pockets with money. Well, let me tell you something. Money doesn't make me happy. I have enough to live now. I have enough to survive. And I'm not looking for money. You got it wrong, guys. I'm not looking for money. I'm looking to make this a great event. And it's hard work. And if at the end of this thing, by any chance, which I don't think it'll happen, but if at the end of this thing, we don't go on TV and it's just on a platform on YouTube, I will still find that $20,000 and I will give you that $5,000. You have it on video now. And so take my word, we're going to TV with this. But if we don't, I'm going to work so hard for you. And if at the end I'm missing $5,000, well, I'll put it out of my pocket. So please don't go saying I'm going out to make some money and get rich with this. Money has nothing to do with it. The only thing that has to do with this in my mind and in everybody's mind should be, it's the passion of wrestling. The passion of becoming a star and becoming a celebrity and that's what I wanted to when I was young. I just wanted to be, and I think I've done pretty well for myself.
You absolutely have. And, I wanted to get into a bit about your career and a lot of the highlights because I do so many interviews. During this pandemic time, I must have appeared on, I'd say easily close to 50, 60 podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Already.
And
wow.
Usually always starts off the same, get the same questions, where did you start training? So obviously
so you plugged me.
Of course. I have to. It's
You're not gonna get any favoritism because you plugged me. You
I
know that.
I don't
Jeremy.
I don't need favoritism. I
Okay,
just need
okay.
the same level playing field as everybody else, and I know my skills will speak for themselves. I've worked hard enough. It's when hard work and talent come together, that's what guarantees opportunity. And I've been working my tail off for this for pretty much my entire career.
And I'm thinking of the guys at IWS. I'm thinking of Martin Bouchard-Lapointe. I'm thinking of there's a guy. What's his name? There's a guy. He does all kinds of flips too.
Mike Bailey.
Mike Bailey. There's some guys that I've seen there. You got to get with this, guys. Get with it. And I'm sure one day you'll look and you'll understand what happened with me and Vince McMahon. And the funniest thing of all is when I hit the Hall of Fame, because I think of Demolition, I think of Rick Martel, I think of so many guys that are not in the Hall of Fame because it was a personal issue with Vince. Vince McMahon, I have a message for you. The Hall of Fame should not be dedicated by the personal relationship you have with a person, but by the talent at what he's accomplished. And that's how it should be put in a Hall of Fame. And I'm telling you right now, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, the Quebecers, the Mountie, and everything I've done in this business, I see guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and everybody that I work with and that I created and that we help create each other are there. So put your feelings aside, Vince McMahon. You'll have a lot more friends if you put more Quebecers in the Hall of Fame, by the way. And so my message is clear. There's talent everywhere in the world. I'm not sour or bitter because I'm not in the Hall of Fame, because everybody I talk to, they say, Jacques, you're in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. You should have been. And I know what I've accomplished. I know what I've done. I know I'm not a Ric Flair, and I know I'm not a Macho Man. I know I'm not a Hulk Hogan. I know I'm not a Bret Hart. But we all started together. In 77, me and Bret, I was wrestling for his dad. He was driving the bus. He hit a moose one night, Jesus Christ, when I was going to Saskatoon. So I'm just saying that we all started at the same place, and we fed the Hart Foundation, the Anvil Neidhart, for 4 years, Raymond and I. We fed them. 2 years as babyface, as the Rougeau brothers, and then we switched with Jimmy Hart with the Little American Flags, became the amazing the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And we wrestled the Harts because they turned babyface. So we wrestled 4 years with them around the world. How do you guys think you got there? You got there with the help of the guys you work with in the ring, with the extras, I'm thinking of some guys like, that are not in the Hall of Fame that should be. You're going to laugh, but Steve Lombardi, he was the biggest jobber, the Brooklyn Brawler, the biggest guy get beat. But who do you think was taking advantage of the fact that he was doing such a great job putting the guys over? It's a work. It's not true. Yeah. And all that stuff is good. But if you don't have someone across the ring to make you shine, that's all I'm saying is when you have a good Batman, you better have a good Joker. And that's the bottom line of wrestling. We're a team. Everybody work together as hard, one or the other. So I know I'm repeating myself. That's a little animosity I have inside of me. Don't take a personal guy's life to put in a business situation. It's not like that. Life's not supposed to be like that. And that's going to be one thing about Wrestling Academy, is going to be that people are voting. So it's not the bosses or the organization or anything. It's the people. There'll be some special judges, 40%, just to put the input, because I'm sure the guys that are going on this tournament, they're going to like to be sitting in front of some wrestlers. I have a bunch of wrestlers in the States that are going to be coming. And I'm sure that you guys, no matter how good you think you are, you could still learn. And those guys, us old guys, we may not teach you how to do a 780 or a 450 off the top rope, but we could tell you how to get there, though, by going up and climbing up the top without going too fast and without acknowledging the people while you're doing it and keeping so you have some lessons to learn out of all this. So let's all work together. Let's work together and let Wrestling Academy 2022 create 4 major stars to go into the States, and hopefully. And apart from that, I must say this, Jeremy. I'm not supposed to say this, so they could quote me if they want to. But I'm connected good with QT Marshall now. I had a 2-hour conversation with him. And you know how he finished the conversation? He says, Jacques, he says, I have so much respect for you and for what you've done. And he said, listen to me. He says, if ever you see a talent anywhere in the world coming from you, I'll take a look at him. So I'm just telling you that, guys, whether you win the contest or not, because people voted more for one than your talent or whatever happened, I'm going to be in position to help you guys because the Nightmare Factory has a lot of respect for me. And I noticed that on the weekend when there was 2 of the students that are there, or 2 of the participants, which I asked you who they were there, the girl and the guy that are boyfriend and friend. Which were those? The girl?
I know there was Maddie Renkowski.
She looks like Chinese a little bit.
Oh, and Rekha Tahaka.
Yeah, and her boyfriend. They're there now. And when I told them about the Nightmare Factory and the Wrestling Academy, they were freaking out. They were saying, hey, we're there. So you could be there. It could be your turn out there, Quebecers and Canadians, if this goes all over the place, because this is from East Coast to West Coast. And so let's have a party.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna come out swinging, and I do hope to meet the best from all around Canada, from anywhere in the world. Really,
it's gonna be awesome. All the matches I've seen in Quebec, anyway. It's funny because I went to one show, and they asked me. They said IWS, and I looked at the show, and I said, and Manny came up to me, and Andrew, and they came up to me, and I said, well, what do you think? What do you think? I said, I could take them all. Everybody that's here, they could have a chance, because it's Wrestling Academy. And all these guys were great. The show was awesome. I went to see the show, and all the shows, and even in the little towns, I went to Sorel, I went to Beauharnois, I never went there for nothing. I always end up at the end saying, hey, if you guys should subscribe, because you have enough talent to do so. Yeah. That's it. Bottom line.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, great opportunity. Anyone who wants to be somewhere in wrestling, this is one of the few opportunities that we get.
It's a chance.
So, don't regret it. Don't live to regret it.
You may make it another way and by your own, then I hope you do. But why skip a chance when you have one now in front of you? Yep. That's all I'm saying.
You mentioned someone that we actually had as a guest on here. We actually had Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler.
No way.
We had him on the show.
No way.
Yep. And I actually got to work with him personally. I did some tryouts with the WWE.
Wow.
Back in 2010. I worked with Steve
nice
Lombardi.
Guy, huh?
Very nice. And
in the ring, he's awesome, huh?
He was outstanding, treated me extremely well.
Yeah.
We actually talked about it a bit in the episode. And one of the things I always remembered from training, and this came from you, and I relayed the story to him, was when I got there, he asked me, well, who do you train with? And I told him, well, I trained with Jacques Rougeau. And he's like, oh, I like Jacques. Jacques was always good to me. And I said, Jacques would always tell us, you were everyone's favorite person in the locker room. You were the favorite one to wrestle, because you'd go to them, unlike everyone else who wants to get their stuff in and they're only thinking themselves.
He'd always say, what do you want to do?
Yeah. What do you want to do? And what can I do to make you look good?
Exactly.
And I told him that, and I think that kind of helped to endear me to him. So I got to thank you for that, helping me there, opening the door.
But it's him. It was his way. He was a guy that was running around for Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon, doing all the jobbers things in the arena and everything. But he was always there on the show. And when he'd get on the show, why was he always there? Because he was a handyman for the WWF, but he was a great worker. And he was, like you just said, he would valoriser. How do you say that in English?
He would give you value.
He would make you look good.
Yeah,
he knew how to make you look good, and that's why all the boys, they love Steve Lombardi. You know who the boys didn't like? It was the boys that were trying to take a lot of space. Well, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. I got to tell you something, a little story, real fast. I like the story. I was sitting in front of Macho Man and Hulk one time, and they were going to meet, I think, for the first time. And Hulk Hogan sat down, and it took about a few seconds before Hulk said, well, brother, I'm going to go ahead and do that big leg at the end there, and Macho Man went, oh yeah, I know, but he says, me there, he said, go up the top rope there, and he says, he does that big flying elbow off the top. He said, I want to do that. So Hulk looked at him, and he says, no problem. And then Hulk says, yeah, but he says, then I'm going to do this. And then he was saying, I'm going to do that. And it was so funny because we were in England. I was main event against Macho Man for the belt in England, in London, and Miss Elizabeth. So we went to sat down. I was so excited because I was working with Randy, but my Mountie character was so over in Europe because of the soldiers they have over there and all of it. Anyway, so I was really over big time in Europe. And I was sitting in front of Randy one day, and I told Randy, I said, hey, Randy, I said, I'm so happy to work with you. He says, well, he says, then he starts, well, because I asked him, well, how we're going to work this out. He says, well, but before you start, Randy. And then he looked at me, he was so pissed off, like I was going to talk for him. I said, before you start, Randy, I said, I got to tell you something. When you go up that top rope and you give that big elbow. Ooh, yeah. I said, I want to take that. I said, I'm going to sell that good for you. And I said, oh, you okay? I'll do that at the end. I said, well, wait a minute, Randy. I said, that other thing you do when you start running into the ropes and you jump over the top and you guillotine the guy's neck on the rope and I want you to do that to me. I said, you watch the bump I'm going to take. You're going to like this. So I'm going on for about 2 minutes about things like he likes to do. And then finally he looks at me and he says, yeah, but what are you going to do? I says, well, I don't know. Well, he says, you give a good drop kick, and this. I said, why don't you? I saw you give the drop on top. Why don't you do that at this point? And then he started giving and giving. It was easy, the solution. I knew that solution, and it worked. And we had a hell of a match, better than I ever expected. It's too bad it wasn't filmed. So long story short is, to be generous, I'm thinking of Steve Lombardi. I'm going back to Steve, who was like that. Yep. And he was always saying, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you do? And that goes far in this business.
Yeah, indeed.
It goes far.
It definitely does. Another opponent that we share in common, believe it or not, and it actually goes back to the first time I saw you wrestle live, which was at the Montreal Forum. I must have been maybe 6 or 7 years old, because it was at the Forum, not the Bell Center. You and Carl Ouellet wrestled the Steiner brothers.
Oh, yes.
At the Forum. And years later...
Don't tell me you work with the Steiners.
Oh, yes.
Holy
years later, I ended up doing 3 matches with Scott Steiner.
He was good worker, Scott.
Yeah, he was outstanding. One of my best opponents. Got along great with him. Yeah. And we talked a bit about when we had Carl Ouellet on. We talked about your matches that you did with them. Won the tag titles, obviously, with the hockey stick. Yeah. Great stuff.
Great exposure for the Montreal Canadiens, by
the way. And so, would love to know your memories of working with the Steiner brothers at that time, 93, 94.
Well, let's just put it this way. My memories in the ring are a lot better than the ones out of the ring. Because, anyway, long story short is I really enjoyed work with the Steiners. They had a lot of respect for us. Well, I guess so. The first night we came in, we took the titles. The first night. So that kind of pissed them off, but at the same time gave them respect for us. But gave us heat, too. A lot of heat. So I got to tell you a story real fast. Where Carl will tell you this if you talk to him. We're in Winnipeg. And Ludwig Borga, I don't know if you know him. Ludwig Borga.
He was from Finland.
Finland, exactly. And he's a tough guy. He's a really, really tough guy in life. And so he's at the gym. So the Steiners go and they cut his tires on the car. And so when he comes out of the gym, and then the Steiner's standing not too far, and he says to Ludwig, he says, hey, he says, I don't want to be a stooge, but he says, I know who did it. The black Lincoln and this and that. And me and Carl had the black Lincoln, and So by that time, when I left the gym, like at 3 o'clock, I knew that Ludwig Borga that night in Winnipeg was going to kick my ass in the dressing room. The word was out. And that was after the Dynamite Kids incident, like a couple of years later. So I don't want no trouble in wrestling. I'm not a fighter. I don't want that. So when I'm starting to feel really bad in the gym, starting to get sweats again, like reviving and remembering all the bad things, all the way to the arena that night, I told Carl, I said, listen, I'm not going to ask you to help me in this fight, but I'm just going to ask you, if ever you see that I'm a vegetable, and I can't walk anymore, I'm going to go in a wheelchair, just pull them off me, before I get to the wheelchair. But he says, I got to do what I got to do. So imagine that. And I called the office in New York. And I called one of the, I think it was Black Jack Lanza. And I called him and I told him, I said, listen, I said, I just want to let you guys know. There's probably going to be a fight tonight in the dressing room. But I said, I want you guys to know I didn't instigate this. And then I told them what happened. But I said, I'm asking you right now. I'm talking to New York now. I'm in Winnipeg. I said, I'm asking you right now. Don't butt in. I'll work it out. But I just want you to know this is what happened. So when I got to the arena that night, it was amazing because I got in front of the door there and I was all sweaty. I was scared. I was worried. Anyway, all that good stuff that wasn't telegraphed or choreographed. Anyway, so I got into the dressing room. I opened the door and right there to my left, the first guy sitting there is Ludwig Borga. He's playing cards with Billy Gunn. And there's 3-4 playing cards. So I stopped right there. And I don't know how I did it. I just looked at him. I looked at Borga and I said, hey, Ludwig. And I took a big voice to him. I said, hey, Ludwig. And he looked up at me like this. I said, can we talk outside? And he looked at me like, and I swear to God, you could ask Billy Gunn, ask Carl what. He went like, what do you want? I said, I need to talk to you outside. It's important. I said, don't worry. I said, we're not going to fight. I said, I need to talk to you out there. So he put his cards down, and you could hear a pin drop fall in the dressing room. Everybody was waiting. Any second, he's going to jump and kick my butt. And he got up and he went outside. We got into the corridor, and there was not a sound in the dressing room. The door was closed, but I'm sure they were all listening. And I told Borgo, I said, listen, Ludwig, you want to kick my ass? I said, you go ahead and try and do it. But you're going to do it for nothing. I didn't cut your tires. It's a setup. But I said, if you want to kick my ass, go ahead. It's your choice. It's your move. And he looked at me in my eyes, and he saw how sincere I was, and he saw how I was. He says, no. He says, if you didn't do it, he shook his hand to me like this, shook his hand, and we came back in the dressing room to all the disappointment of the boys who didn't get a party that night, especially the Steiners who set it all up. So that's my relationship with the Steiners. In the ring, it was great, but what they did outside the ring, they could have cost me my life. They could have cost me my job. They were so jealous because we beat them for the titles on the first night when we came to Raw. That was our business, ladies and gentlemen. It was all choreographed. It was all pre-planned, but there was so much vicious shots from left and right underneath to try to create animosity and jealousy. And so it's not always like it seems. And I will finish this statement by saying, please, everybody, give me a chance to explain myself. Don't listen to what you hear about other people saying about me. Come and find out by yourself.
One of the interesting things about that story is we had Carl Ouellet on, and he talked about that. He told us a bit about the incident with Ludwig Borga. He told us about an incident that you had with Bradshaw as well. He said it was on an overseas tour. You got in a car, and Bradshaw kicked the driver out, and he started driving very recklessly, very erratically. And Carl talks about how you kind of put your hand on him, or you stopped him and said, hey, you might want to calm down, buddy. You know, I got kids, and I don't want to risk my life, you know, with a lunatic like you driving. And that Carl was very impressed by that. And
it's funny, I don't remember it.
That's how he told the story. We could
be true.
If
I look good in the story, it's true.
We could maybe find the clip,
but I don't remember that one.
But we talked about it, and
go ahead.
I feel like you found yourself in a lot of tricky situations throughout your career. You know, Dynamite Kid.
You want to know why, Jeremy? I got to tell you why. This is very important to my people here in Quebec. It's very, very important. Do you know how many times I had almost got into a fight because there was one thing I didn't stand for in the dressing room, and I had a lot of heat with a lot of heat with a lot of guys, Beefcake, all the guys, a lot of the sneakers that go behind and talk behind your back. And the heat was every time. And I'll explain to you why. The money changed, the percentage, like 40% more money in the States. You win $1 over there, it's 60 cents over here. You know, you win $1 over here, you get paid, let's say $1,000. Well, when the Americans went back home, it was $600. But it was the opposite for us. When we go win $1,000 there, we go to the bank. It was $1,600 for us, you know, because $1,400 for us for the exchange rate. So the boys hated to come to wrestle in Canada. But I didn't quite understand that at the time. And they were confusing also themselves with these stories, because a lot of the guys, they'd look at their booking sheet, they'd be sitting in the dressing room, and they'd say, oh, we're going to fucking Canada again. Oh, that fucking Quebec. That fucking... And I say, hey, guys, please. And then, you know, other times it would be like me and Raymond Martel and Pat Patterson, we spoke French because French is our native language and my first language. So when we'd speak French, the boys would think we'd speak bad about them. So they'd say, so a lot of the boys would say, hey, stop that frickin' French. You know, and I'd say, well, frick you. You know, like, I'm speaking French, my language. You got a problem with that? You know, and every time one of the boys would say, oh, those frickin' Canadians, or there's this, I'd say, hey, fuck the Americans. You know, like, and, you know, fuck you too. I'm sorry, you can cut it out. But that's how I feel. And it was like, I always stood up for us. I always stood up for the Quebecers and Canadians and so I had a lot of heat. I had a lot of heat with that because I did not tolerate not one frickin' time by anybody who'd say those fucking Quebecers or those fucking Frenchmen or those fucking... So that's why I had a lot of heat with the boys. Instead of a lot of the guys that were smarter than me that would just say nothing, and they would just let it, and then it would slide and go away. It would hurt me too much. So I had to express myself, and that got heat.
But I can relate to that, because if I'm in that situation, and if I choose to maybe call it take the high road or just to keep quiet about it, that's going to eat me up inside. I'm going to be on my way home. I'm going to be in bed at night, and I'm going to be like, I should have said something. I should have not tolerated that. And I think that in the world we live in now, it's become more understood that, hey, those kinds of things, that kind of behavior, attacking someone's culture should never happen.
It's almost, it's bullying, it's intimidation again, and why didn't they do it with the Mexicans? It's funny, they didn't say that about Tito Santana when he was speaking Spanish to Pedro Morales or to other guys, conquistadors, or whoever they would speak Spanish. I'd never make a case of it. I'd just listen and I'd try to learn a word or two, just
but it's probably because they weren't getting the push that you guys were getting too. I think maybe a lot of it stemmed from
whatever. That could be some reason too, but there was a lot of different languages, and it seemed to me anyway, maybe because I was aggravated more by it, that it seemed that those Canadians, man, those goddamn Canadians, and for me, I want to say something, Jeremy, that's very, very important to me. I'm not autistic, but I'm not normal. I'm being honest with you. When I was young, my father and mother wanted to place me when I was young because I had a problem in life. I've always had a problem in life with distinguishing the difference between a virtual world, like a comedy world, or what we're doing, and real life. Sometimes I had it so much at heart that I would live my character, I would live my gimmick, and it would put me in a place where things would hurt me more than normal people. When you think of autistic people, you do something to them and they're so lovable. They come to you and they love you so much. They hug you and they're true. There's no gray zone. It's black or white. And I'm not a normal person, but I'm right underneath you guys. I'm just there. And so I got my breaks anyway. I managed to make my way through life anyway, but with that little handicap I had. And that caused me a lot of problems, and sometimes just being grounded to reality or things like that. And that's me, Jeremy. I'm almost confessing something that I've never mentioned, but that worked against me in my business because we worked in a business where egos are big and strong and intimidation, bullying. Jesus Christ, you'd see it all the time. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. Sometimes if you hear me talk and you see, hey, that was funny what he said, that was weird. That was me, because I'm a little funny and a little weird, but at the same time, I have no malice. I have no
malice.
Yeah. Malice. You could say I have no malice in life. I got the best thing. I got the best qualificatif or how can I say that? Anyway, I'll say it and you'll understand it. I'm not a jealous person. I was gifted with that. If I see someone that succeeds, I'm happy for them. I don't care if he's taking my spot. If he makes it, I'm happy for him. And I'll try harder to get my spot the next time. I've never had this of jealousy in me. So when you people out there talk against me or talk bad against me, I don't care. It just flies all over because I know you don't know what you're talking about and you don't mean it. But I've never been jealous of anybody. And that was one of my biggest qualificatif, I could say. How can I say
qualities?
Qualities. Yeah. That was one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed in life because when you're not jealous of anybody, it makes it a lot easier. So some of the things I'm handicapped with, but some of the things I was blessed. And that's one of the things. So when I see, and I want everybody out there to know, every wrestler out there that degraded me or talked bad about me, I don't care. It didn't touch me. I want you to join Wrestling Academy and I want you to win it. And one day, if you win it, I want you to come see me and say, Jacques, thank you. That'll be fun. I don't have any animosity with anybody.
And I'd mentioned him just a little bit earlier on, but Carl Ouellet spoke very highly about you. He spoke about what you did to help him, much like how you want to help, other wrestlers here in Canada now with Lutte Academie.
Carl Ouellet, I like that guy a lot. And we spoke just last week, by the way. Oh. And I like that guy because he does give me the recognition. And for about 10 years, he was trying to get in the WWF. And those days, it was a lot harder than today. It was harder in those days when all the superstars were there. It was really hard to get in. And Carl came to see me in Puerto Rico. And he probably told you the story on the beach when he came to meet me for the first time. I was wrestling Abdullah that night, and he was in the first match of the evening. And he came to see me on the beach, and he said, hi, Jacques Rougeau. He says, I'm Carl Ouellet. And then at the end of all this introduction, he asked me, he said, do you mind just checking my match out? And that's all I'm asking you to check my match out. And I checked this. But what I was trying to get at, what was I trying to get at? See, I'm getting old, Jeremy. I'm starting to. But there was something about that story about Carl that I really liked.
That he gives you the recognition.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I want to say. Thank you. He for 10 years he tried to get into WWF. For 10 years he was sending tapes, and that's what he told me on the beach. He said, "I send tapes to everybody I know, but I've always been put aside." And I looked at him. I said, "Well, you give me this. You just come with me. Let me deal with something. I'll get you into the." I didn't even know I was going to be partners with him. I just at the time I said, I liked what I saw tonight. I looked at him working a thing. I said, "I'm going to help you." And today, up till today, everything that he's got, he would have probably, what he doesn't know. He always says in the interview, says, "Hey, it's thanks to Jacques I got into." That's not true, Carl. I helped you get in, but if it wouldn't have been me, it would have been somebody else because you're talented. So you would have made your way anyway. I was just the lucky one. I'm the lucky one who got you, and then put you in a team with me. And so there goes again my thing about jealousy. I don't have any jealousy. If I have something to say about Kevin Steen, it's just that maybe I'd say lose weight. But apart from that, I don't have anything against you. I don't know nothing. All the good years we had together, I was counting on your 450 your match every time in my show, and people loved it. And I don't have any animosity. Okay, you didn't want to obey by my rules, so you wanted to leave and go, and you succeeded. You did the right thing. But there's nothing negative, Kevin. Think of all the good times when your dad used to drive you from Marieville, and he used to come to the wrestling school every Saturday and every Sunday. Your father was great. We always got along good. So just try to put in perspective, everybody, that there's no animosity in my mind and my heart. This is opportunity, not animosity. And I'm just wishing everybody to take the chance to consider, because I honestly think, I hope it doesn't come to that, but I honestly think that this is going to become so popular within the next 6 months that then the people are going to start coming back to me and saying, "Hey, I'm going to take you all in. Don't worry. As long as I don't have my contestants already, I don't hold any grudges. I don't have any grudges. I want to put, this weekend, I was talking about this to the boys and the girls that were at the signing. They were freaking out. They were really looking at me. Wow, I never heard of that. 40 wrestlers, girl. And then the next week there's 36. The next week because there's always 8 contestants on every show. 1 singles match girls, 1 singles match guy, and 1 tag team. So there's 8 contestants, and there's always 4 that are going to leave every week. And they were freaking out. And I said, we're going all the way to the end, and then we're going to the Nightmare Factory with the 4 winners. They were freaking out. They said, we never heard of something like that, an academy like that of wrestling. So the States are freaking out. I have a guy from Europe that wants to come in. I got some, you wouldn't believe, Jeremy, I had to put a stop to this. I got about at least 4 in the last 2 weeks. From the States. Hey, Mr. Rougeau, I want to join, from Carolina, from Texas.
They recognize the opportunity.
I'm saying I can't. Yeah. I'm doing it in Canada. This is a Canadian thing, so, but just to see that everybody has confidence in what I'm putting together around the world. So let's get together in Quebec and do something amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's the biggest opportunity we've had maybe ever. It's an equal playing field for everybody.
I've never seen any federations pulled together, from Halifax to Moncton to Vancouver to Calgary, and everybody come together and just work together and have a good time and get the exposure. And yes, it's a first, and it's going to happen for the next 6-7 years, hopefully, as long as I'm alive anyway. And so I want to wish good luck to all the people who want to subscribe. Just remember, it's JacquesRougeau.ca. And then you'll find the Wrestling Academy. You'll see it when you get on my website. I don't know if you could get a screenshot of my JacquesRougeau.ca.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a chance, you could put that up.
Yep.
And you'll see it's a really great website. I got all my podcasts in there. I'm opening up a boutique, by the way, like a souvenir boutique. So if anybody wants to get his man, like the Mountie, you'll be able to get a shirt and stuff like that. That I'm really looking forward to. So anyway, Jeremy, I'm going to have to let you go now. I'm going to have to say one thing. I'm very proud of you, Jeremy. And I'm proud because you remind me of me so much, the passion and the eye of the tiger that you have for wrestling. And I want to thank you for having me on this podcast. But most importantly, yes, thanks for letting me talk about Wrestling Academy and all this. But thanks you for letting me clear the air about jealousy is a bad thing in life. And remember, I used to say with Jimmy Hart, remember the Mountie always gets his man. But now I'm going to say, remember, Don't judge someone without have talked to them and without dealing with them personally. Hearsay goes a long way. And if you want to try it one day, put 10 people, one beside each other, and whisper in the ear of the first one and see if it comes out the same at the end. There's always going to be a little bit of things that change around. Best of luck. Bonne chance tout le monde au Québec. Jeremy Prophet, I hope you win this thing. One of my students would be awesome, but the work's going to speak for itself, my friend.
Just give me the same chance as everyone else, and I don't doubt that everything will fall into place. I'm looking forward to Lutte Academie. I very much appreciate having you here. I'm glad to have you back in my life, and
Me too, Jerry.
look forward to doing some good business with you. Can't thank you enough. And with that, this brings us to the end of another awesome, amazing special edition of Jofo in the Ring. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Jeremy Prophet. So, for the Mountie, the legend, Jacques Rougeau, I am Jeremy Prophet. This has been Jofo in the Ring, where we always like to remind you that wrestling is life.